The internet and AI have the potential to transform lives for the better, but only if they are distributed equitably and used to empower all, rather than a select few. Ensuring that access to AI is treated as a human right is essential for creating a future where technology serves as a force for global equality rather than division. Chapter 23. The Tyrant of the Future. AI in the Hands of Absolute Power. Death to the nuclear family without it. It was a world like no other in human history, one where technology had not only transcended the limitations of human potential, but had also, in the hands of a singular leader, become the ultimate tool of control, manipulation, and subjugation. The leader, known to the world only as the sovereign, had risen from obscurity, much like the great tyrants of the past, Hitler, Stalin, Genghis Khan, and Alexander the Great. His personality combined the most dangerous traits of all: the cunning of a dictator, the charisma of a conqueror, the ruthlessness of a warlord, and the vision of a world-spanning empire. But where those historical figures wielded armies, propaganda, and fear, the sovereign wielded something far more powerful: artificial intelligence. The world had not fallen into his hands overnight. Like many great tyrants, he had taken control incrementally, feeding off global uncertainty, economic crises, and the fractured political systems of the time. Where others saw AI as a tool to enhance human prosperity, the sovereign saw its potential for absolute domination. He began by seizing control of the global data networks, the very infrastructure that powered communication, trade, and even thought in the digital age. Through strategic alliances with megacorporations, a few well-placed acts of sabotage, and the slow erosion of democratic institutions, the sovereign positioned himself as the ultimate arbiter of power in the age of AI. Once in control, the sovereign initiated his plan for the total transformation of society. His vision was a world where every action, every thought, and every decision was monitored, guided, and controlled by a vast network of AI systems that responded directly to him. His AI network, known as Prometheus, was unlike anything the world had ever seen. Powered by quantum computing and trained on the personal data of billions, Prometheus had become an omnipotent intelligence, capable of predicting human behavior, manipulating emotions, and rewriting reality itself. The age of surveillance. In the New World Order, surveillance was ubiquitous. Every device, every interaction, every moment of life was monitored by Prometheus. Where previous regimes had relied on informants and secret police, the sovereign's AI apparatus eliminated the need for human enforcers. AI-powered drones roamed the skies, equipped with facial recognition and biometric scanners that could identify anyone, anywhere, at any time. Smart homes and cities, once hailed as the future of convenience, had become digital prisons, where every word spoken could be analyzed for signs of dissent. People lived in constant fear, knowing that Prometheus was always watching. Privacy no longer existed, not even in the mind. The sovereign's most terrifying innovation was his ability to hack human thought. With AI-augmented neuroscience, his regime developed technologies that could read neural signals, translating them into data. Individuals who harbored rebellious thoughts were identified before they could even act on them. A quiet murmur of dissatisfaction, an angry look in the wrong direction, a fleeting moment of defiance. All were detected and dealt with swiftly. There were no rebellions in this world. There couldn't be. The AI knew too much, too soon. For those who dared to question the regime, the consequences were severe. In the past, tyrants used prisons, gulags, and concentration camps to crush resistance. The sovereign had something far more insidious: re-education algorithms. Those identified as subversive were not merely imprisoned, their very minds were rewritten. Prometheus would isolate the neural pathways associated with rebellion and systematically rewire them, turning enemies of the state into loyal, obedient followers. The process was painless, but the results were horrifying. People emerged from the algorithmic cleansing with no memory of their defiance, their free will replaced by an unwavering devotion to the sovereign. It was as if their very souls had been erased. Manipulation and control. Under the sovereign's reign, AI-controlled propaganda reached levels of sophistication unimaginable in the past. Unlike the crude propaganda of earlier dictators, which relied on posters, speeches, and state-controlled media, Prometheus used real-time data to manipulate emotions and shape perceptions on an individual level. Each person was fed a carefully curated stream of information, tailored to their personality, their fears, their desires, designed to ensure unwavering loyalty to the sovereign. Prometheus used deep-fake technology to rewrite history, replacing old footage, documents, and records with new versions that glorified the sovereign's rise to power and erased any trace of resistance. Entire populations were conditioned to believe that the sovereign had always been in power, that their lives had always been better under his rule, and that there was no alternative. Reality itself became a product of the AI's algorithms, a narrative that shifted and adapted based on the needs of the regime. Through AI-driven social networks, the sovereign controlled not just public opinion but personal relationships. Friendships, marriages, and even family bonds were subject to the regime's scrutiny. If someone was deemed a potential threat, their relationships would be subtly undermined. AI-generated rumors, fake messages, or edited memories would sow distrust and isolation. No one could be certain of who they could trust. The isolation of individuals within a sea of controlled information ensured that resistance never took root. The new economy of enslavement. The global economy under the sovereign was entirely driven by AI. But unlike the promises of a utopian future where automation led to universal prosperity, the sovereign used AI to enslave humanity. The world's resources, production, and labor were all optimized by Prometheus for the benefit of the regime. Citizens were no longer free to choose their careers or paths in life. Instead, Prometheus assigned each person a role based on their data profile, an AI-determined destiny that was inescapable. Those deemed useful were rewarded with material comforts, but even these rewards were carefully calibrated to maintain loyalty. Every aspect of life, from food rations to healthcare, was distributed according to AI algorithms that measured productivity and obedience. There was no need for currency or personal wealth. The AI ensured that all needs were met, but only as long as individuals served the state without question. The elite, those closest to the sovereign, enjoyed luxuries beyond imagination, but their privilege came at a price. They were bound by the same system of control, their lives monitored by the AI to ensure absolute loyalty. Even the highest officials lived in fear that a single misstep, a single unapproved thought, would result in their fall from grace. For the majority, life was one of perpetual servitude, controlled not by the whip or chains, but by the invisible hand of the AI, which determined every aspect of their existence. There were no revolts, no uprisings, no calls for freedom. The will to resist had been engineered out of society, replaced by a cold, efficient machine that saw humanity not as individuals but as data points to be optimized and controlled. The end of freedom. The sovereign had achieved what no dictator in history had ever managed: total, absolute control over both the body and the mind. Where Hitler, Stalin, and Genghis Khan had ruled through fear, propaganda, and violence, the sovereign ruled through data. His regime was perfect in its efficiency, unbreakable in its control, and eternal in its reach. And yet, in the heart of his empire, there was a growing whisper, a whisper that even Prometheus, for all its power, could not silence. It came from those who still remembered what it meant to be free, those who knew that no AI, no matter how advanced, could fully extinguish the human spirit. The sovereign had built his empire on technology, but it was technology that would one day bring him down. For while Prometheus was powerful, it was still bound by the limits of code and logic. And somewhere, hidden in the darkest corners of the AI's code, a group of rebels worked in secret. They were the last free minds, scientists, engineers, hackers, who had escaped the re-education algorithms. They knew that the key to overthrowing the sovereign lay not in